Excerpt from a local newspaper. Ominous unknown killer is still at large. After weeks of unexplained murders, the ominous unknown killer is still at the rise. After little evidence has been found, a young boy states that he survived one of the killer's attacks. He bravely tells his story to us. I had a bad dream, and I woke up in the middle of the night. I saw that for some reason my window was open, even though I remember it being closed before I went to bed. I got up and I shut it once more afterwards, and I simply just got back under my covers and tried to get back to sleep. That's when I had a strange feeling. Like someone was watching me. I looked up and I nearly jumped out of my bed. There, in just the little ray of light I had from the curtains, were a pair of eyes. They weren't regular eyes. They were dark and ominous and bordered in black, and they just plain out terrified me. That's when I saw his mouth. A long, horrendous smile that made every hair on my body stand up. This figure just stood there, nothing but watching me. Finally, after what had happened and what seemed like forever, he said a simple phrase, but said only a way someone psychotic could say it. He said, "Go to sleep." I let out a scream to hopefully alarm someone. That's what sent him at me. He pulled up a knife and was aiming it at my heart and just jumped on top of me on my bed. I fought him back. I kicked, I punched, I rolled around, doing anything I could to try and knock him off me. That's when my dad busted in. The man threw the knife and it went straight clean into my dad's shoulder. The man probably would have finished him off if one of the neighbors hadn't alerted the police. While the police drove into the parking lot and ran towards the door, the man ran down the hallway. I heard a smash, like something like a window or maybe a vase breaking. As I came out of the room, I saw the window that was pointing towards the back of the house was broken. I looked out just to see him vanish into the distance. I can tell you one thing, though. That face, those cold, evil eyes, and that psychotic smile, that will never leave my head. Police are still on the lookout for this man. If you see anyone that fits the description in the story, please contact your local police department as soon as possible and do not engage this person. Jeff and his family had just moved into a new neighborhood. His dad had gotten a promotion at work, and they thought it would be best to live in one of those fancy neighborhoods. Jeff and his brother Lou couldn't complain, though. A new, better house? What was not to love? As they were getting unpacked, one of their neighbors came by. "Hello," she said. "I'm Barbara. I live across the street from you. Well, I just wanted to introduce myself and introduce my son." She turned around and calls over her son. "Billy, these are our new neighbors." Billy said hi and ran back to play in his yard. "Well," said Jeff's mom, "I'm Margaret, and this is my husband Peter and my two sons, Jeff and Lou." They each introduced themselves, and then Barbara invited them to her son's birthday party. Jeff and his brother were about to object when their mother said, "We'd love to." When Jeff and his family were done packing, Jeff went up to his mom. "Mom, why would you invite us to some kid's party? If you haven't noticed, I'm not some idiot kid." "Jeff," said his mother, "we just moved here, and we should show that we want to spend time with our neighbors. Now we're going to that party, and that is final." Jeff started to talk, but he figured he should stop himself, knowing that he couldn't do anything. Whether his mom said something to maybe change his mind. It was final. They were going. He walked up to his room and plopped down on his bed. He sat there looking at the ceiling when suddenly he got a weird feeling. Not so much a pain, but a weird feeling. He dismissed it as just some random feeling, just as he heard his mother call him down to get his stuff. The next day, Jeff walked down the stairs to get breakfast and got ready for school. He sat there eating his breakfast. He once again got that feeling. This time, it was stronger. It gave him a slight tugging pain. But once again, he dismissed it. And as he and Lou finished their breakfast, they walked down to the bus stop. They sat there waiting for the bus. But then, all of a sudden, some kid on a skateboard jumped over them, only inches above their lap. They both jumped back in surprise. "Hey, what the hell?" The kid landed and turned back to them. He kicked his skateboard up and caught it in his hands. The kid seems to be about 12, 1 year younger than Jeff. He wears an apparel shirt and ripped blue jeans. Well, well, well. It looks like we got some new meat. Suddenly, two other kids, one was skinny and the other was fairly huge. "Well, since you're new here, I'd like to introduce ourselves. Over there is Keith." Jeff and Lou looked over at the skinny kid. He had a dopey face that you would expect a sidekick to have. "And he's Troy." They looked over at the fat kid. Talk about a tub of lard. This kid looked like he hadn't exercised since he was crawling. "And I," said the first kid, "am Randy. Now for all the kids in this neighborhood, there's a small price for the bus fare, if you catch my drift." Lou stand up, ready to punch the lights out of this kid's eyes, when one of his friends pulled a knife on him. "I had hoped we were more cooperative, but it seems we must do this the hard way." The kid walked up to Lou, took his wallet out of his pocket. Then, suddenly, Jeff got that feeling again. Now it was truly strong, a burning sensation. He stood up, but Lou told him to sit down. Jeff ignored him and walked to the kid. "Listen here, you little punk. Give back my brother's wallet, or else." Randy put the wallet in his pocket and pulled out his own knife. "Oh, and what will you do?" Just as he finished his sentence, Jeff popped the kid right in the nose. As Randy reached for his face, Jeff grabbed the kid's wrist and broke it. Randy screamed and Jeff grabbed the knife from his hand. Troy and Keith rushed Jeff, but Jeff was too quick. He threw Randy to the ground. Keith lashed out at him, but Jeff ducked and stabbed him in the arm. Keith dropped his knife and fell to the ground, screaming. Troy rushed him too, but Jeff didn't even need the knife. He just punched Troy straight in the stomach, and Troy went down. As he fell, he puked all over. Lou could do nothing but look in amazement at Jeff. Jeff, how'd you..." That was all he said. They saw the bus coming and knew they'd be blamed for the whole thing, so they started running as fast as they could. As they ran, they looked back and saw the bus driver rushing over to Randy and the others. As Jeff and Lou made it to school, they didn't dare tell what happened. All they did was sit and listen. Lou just thought that this was his brother beating up a few punk kids, but Jeff knew it was more. It was something scary. As he got that feeling, he felt how powerful it was, the urge to just hurt someone. He didn't like how it sounded, but couldn't help but feeling happy. He felt that strange feeling go away, and it stayed away for the entire day of school. Even as he walked home due to the whole thing near the bus stop, and how he probably wouldn't be taking the bus anymore, he felt happy. When he got home, his parents asked him how his day was, and he said in a somewhat scary and ominous tone, "It was a wonderful day." Next morning, they heard a knock at the front door. He walked down to find 2 police officers at the door and his mother looking back, very angry. "Jeff, these officers tell me you attacked 3 kids? This wasn't regular fight, and they were stabbed. Stabbed, son." Jeff's gaze fell to the floor, showing his mother that it was true. Mom, they were the ones who pulled the knives on me and Lou. Son, said one of the cops, we found 3 kids, 2 stabbed, 1 having a bruise on his stomach, and we have witnesses proving that you fled the scene. Now what does that tell us? Jeff knew that it was no use. He could say him and Lou had been attacked, but there was no proof of it. Was it? It was not them who attacked first. They couldn't say that they weren't fleeing because, the truth be told, they were. So Jeff couldn't defend himself or Lou. Son, call down your brother. Jeff couldn't do it, since it was him who beat up all the kids. Sir, it was me. I was the one who beat up those kids. Lou tried to hold me back, but he couldn't stop me. The cop looked at his partner and they both nodded. Well, kid, looks like a year in juvie. Wait, says Lou. They all look up and see him holding a knife. The officers pulled their guns on an instant and locked it on Lou. It was me. I beat up those little punks. Have the marks to prove it, too. He lifted up his sleeves, and it revealed cuts and bruises, as if he was in a struggle. Son, just put down the knife. Lou held up the knife and dropped it to the ground. He put his hands up and walked over to the cops. No, Lou! It was me! I did it! Jeff said as he had tears running down his face. Huh. Poor bro. Trying to take the blame for what I did. Well, take me away, officer. The police led Lou into the patrol car. Lou, tell them it was me! Tell them! I was the one who beat up these kids. Jeff's mother put a hand on his shoulder. Jeff, please, you don't have to lie. We know it was Lou. You can stop. Jeff watched helplessly as the cop car sped off with Lou inside. A few minutes later, Jeff's dad pulled into the driveway, seeing Jeff's face and knowing something was wrong. Son, what is it? Jeff could not answer him. His vocal cords were strained from crying. Instead, Jeff's mother walked his father inside to break the bad news to him. As Jeff wept in the driveway after an hour or maybe 2, Jeff walked back to the house, seeing that his parents were both shocked, sad, and disappointed. He couldn't look at them. He just couldn't. He couldn't see how they thought of Lou when it was his fault. He just ran to his room and went to sleep, trying to get his whole mind off the thing. 2 days went by with no word from Lou at the JDC. No friends to hang out with, and nothing but guilt and sadness. This was until Saturday, when Jeff was woke up by his mother with a happy, sunshiny face. Jeff, it's the day, she said as she opened the curtains to let light flood in the room. What's today? Asked Jeff as he stirs awake. Why, it's Billy's party. He was now fully awake. Mom! You're joking, right? You don't expect me to go to some kid's party after... There was a long pause. Jeff, we both know what happened. I think this party could be the thing that brightens up the past days. Now get dressed. Jeff's mother walked out of the room and downstairs to get ready herself. He fought himself to get up. He picked out some random shirts and a pair of jeans and then walked downstairs. He saw his mother and father all dressed up. His mother in a dress and his father in a suit. He thought, why would you ever wear such fancy clothes to a kid's birthday party? Son, is that all you're going to wear? Said Jeff's mom. Better than wearing too much, he said. His mother pushed down the feeling to yell at him and hid it with a smile. Now, Jeff, we may be overdressed, but this is how you go if you want to make an impression, said his father. Jeff grunted and then went back up to his room. I don't have any fancy clothes, he yelled down the stairs. "Just pick something out," called his mother. He looked around his closet for what he would call fancy. He found a pair of black dress pants. He had it for special occasions. And he had an undershirt, but he couldn't find a shirt to go with it. He looked around and found only striped and patterned shirts, none of which go with fancy pants. Finally, he just found a hoodie and decided to put that on. "You're wearing that?" they both said. His mother looked at her watch. "Oh, no time to change. Let's just go," she said as she herded Jeff and her father out the door. They crossed the street over to Barbara and Billy's house. They knocked on the door and it appeared Barbara, just like his parents, way overdressed. As they walked inside, all Jeff could see were adults. There are no kids here," he said. "The kids are out in the yard, Jeff. How about you go meet some of them?" said Barbara. Jeff walked outside to a yard full of kids. They were running in a weird cowboy costume, shooting at each other with plastic guns. He might as well have been standing in the middle of a Toys R Us. Suddenly, a kid came up to him, though, and handed him a toy gun and a hat. "Hey, wanna play?" he said. No, kid. I'm way too old for this crap." The kid looked at him with that weird puppy dog face. "Please," said the kid. "Fine," said Jeff. He put the hat on and started pretending to shoot at the kids. At first, he thought it was totally ridiculous, but then he started to actually have fun. It might not have been super cool, but it was the first time he had done something that took his mind off Lou. So he played with the kids for a while until he heard a noise, a weird rolling noise. Then it hit him. Randy, Troy, and Keith all jumped over the fence on their skateboards. Jeff dropped the gun and ripped his hat off. Randy looked at Jeff with a burning hatred. "Hello, Jeff, is it?" he said. "We have some unfinished business." Jeff saw his bruised nose. "I think we're even. I beat the crap out of you, and you got my brother sent to JDC. Randy got an angry look in his eyes. "Oh no, I don't go for even. I go for winning. You may have kicked our butts that one day, but not today." As he said that, Randy rushed at Jeff. They both fell to the ground. Randy punched Jeff in the nose, and Jeff grabbed him by the ears and headbutted him. Jeff pushed Randy off him, and they both rose to their feet. Kids were screaming, and parents were running out of the house. Troy and Keith both pulled guns out of their pockets. "No one interrupts, or guts will fly," they said. Randy pulled a knife on Jeff and stabbed it into his shoulder. Jeff screamed with pain and fell to his knees. Randy started kicking him anywhere in the face, and after 3 kicks, Jeff grabs him by the foot and twists it, causing Randy to fall to the ground. Jeff stood up and walked towards the back door. Troy grabbed him. "Need some help?" He picks Jeff up by the back of the collar and throws him through the patio door. As Jeff tries to stand, he's kicked down to the ground by Randy. And Randy repeatedly starts kicking Jeff until he starts to cough up blood. "Come on, Jeff! Fight me!" He picks Jeff up and throws him into the kitchen. Randy sees a bottle of vodka on the counter and smashes it over Jeff's head. "Fight!" He throws Jeff back into the living room. "Come on, Jeff! Look at me!" Jeff glances up, his face riddled with blood. "I was the one who got your brother sent to JDC, and now you're just gonna sit here and let him rot there for a whole year? You should be ashamed." Jeff starts to get up. "Oh, finally, you stand and fight." Jeff is now to his feet, blood and vodka on his face. Once again, he gets that strange feeling, the one he hasn't felt in a while. "Finally, he's up," says Randy as he runs at Jeff. That's when it happened. Something inside Jeff, his psyche, just completely destroyed. All rational thinking is gone. All he can do is kill. He grabs Randy and pile drives him into the ground and gets on top of him and punches him straight in the heart. The punch causes Randy's heart to stop. As Randy gasps for breath, Jeff hammers down on him, punch after punch after punch after punch, until blood starts gushing from Randy's body, until he takes one final breath and dies. Everyone is looking at Jeff now, the parents, the kids crying, even Troy and Keith, although they easily break from their gaze and point their guns at Jeff. Jeff sees the guns trained on him and runs for the stairs. As he runs, Troy and Keith let fire on him. Each shot missing, Jeff runs up the stairs, but then he hears Troy and Keith following up behind. As they let out their final rounds of bullets, Jeff ducks into the bathroom and he grabs the towel rack and rips it straight off the wall. Troy and Keith race in, knives ready. Troy swings his knife at Jeff, who backs away and bangs the towel rack into Troy's face. Troy goes down hard. And now all that's left is Keith. He's more agile than Troy, though. He ducks when Jeff swings the towel rack. He dropped the knife and grabbed Jeff by the neck. He pushes him into the wall. A thing of bleach fell down from the top of a rack, and it burned them both. They both started to scream, and Jeff wiped his eyes the best he could. He pulled back the towel rack and swung it straight into Keith's head. As he lay there, bleeding to death, he let out an ominous smile. "What's so funny?" asked Jeff. Keith pulled out a lighter and switched on. "What's funny is that you're covered in bleach and alcohol." Jeff's eyes widened as Keith threw the lighter at him. As soon as the flame made contact with him, the flames ignited the alcohol in the vodka. While the alcohol burned him, the bleach bleached his skin. Jeff let out a terrible scream as he caught on fire. He tried to roll out the fire, but it was no use. The alcohol had made him a walking inferno. He ran down the hall and fell down the stairs. Everybody was starting to scream as they saw Jeff, now a man on fire, drop to the ground, nearly dead. The last thing Jeff saw was his mother trying to put him out. That's when he passed out. When Jeff woke, he had a cast wrapped around his face. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a cast on his shoulder and stitches all over his body. He tried to stand up, but he realized that there was some tube in his arm, and when he tried to get up, it fell out, and a nurse rushed in to put it back in. "I don't think you can get out of bed just yet," she said as she put him in bed and reinserted the tube. Jeff sat there with no vision, no idea of what his surroundings were, but then finally, after hours, he heard his mother. "Honey, are you okay?" she asked. Jeff couldn't answer, though his face was covered and he was unable to speak. "Oh, honey, I have great news. After the witnesses told all the police that Randy confessed of trying to attack you, they decided to let Lou go." This made Jeff almost bolt up, stopping halfway, remembering the tube coming out of his arm. "He'll be out by tomorrow, and the two of you will be able to be together again." Jeff's mother hugs Jeff and says her goodbyes. The next couple of weeks were where Jeff's was visited by his family. Then came the day where his bandages were to be removed. His family were all there to see it. What he would look like as the doctors unwrapped the bandages from Jeff's face, everyone on the edge of their seats. They waited until the last bandage holding the cover to his face was almost removed. "Let's hope for the best," said the doctor. He quickly pulled the cloth, letting the rest fall from Jeff's face. Jeff's mother screamed at the sight of his face, and Lou and his dad just stare, awestruck at his face. "What? What happened to my face?" Jeff said. He rushed out of bed and ran to the bathroom. He looked in a mirror and he saw the cause of the stress. His face, it It's horrible. His lips were burnt to a deep shade of red, his face was turned a pure white color, and his hair singed from brown to black. He slowly put his hands to his face. It had a sort of a leathery feel to it. He looked back at his family in the mirror. "Jeff," said Lou, "it's not that bad." "Not bad," said Jeff. "It's perfect!" His family were equally surprised. Jeff started laughing uncontrollably. His parents noticed that his left eye and hand were twitching. Jeff, are you okay?" "Okay? I've never felt more happy. Ha 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 ha. Look at me. This face goes perfect with me." He couldn't stop laughing. He stroked his face, feeling it, looking at it in the mirror. What caused this, you may ask? Well, you may recall when Jeff was fighting Randy, something in his mind, something he couldn't explain, had just snapped. Now he was left as a crazy killing machine. That is, his parents didn't know. "Doctor," said Jeff's mom, "is my son alright, in the head?" "Oh yes, this behavior is typical for patients that have taken very large amounts of painkillers. If his behavior doesn't change in a few weeks, bring him back here immediately. We'll have to give him a psychological test." "Oh, thank you, doctor." Jeff's mother went over to Jeff. "Jeff, sweetie, it's time to go." Jeff looked at the mirror, his face still formed into a crazy smile. "'Kay, Mommy!" "This is what came in," said the lady at the desk. Jeff's mom looked down to see the black dress pants and her son's white hoodie he wore. Now they were clean of blood and all stitched together. Jeff's mother led him to his room and made him put his clothes on. Then they left, not knowing that this was their final days of life. Later that night, Jeff's mother woke up to a sound coming from the room. It sounded as if someone was crying. She slowly walked over to see what it was. When she looked into the bathroom, she saw a horrendous sight. Jeff had taken the knife and carved a smile into his cheeks. "Jeff, what are you doing?" asked his mother. Jeff looked over to his mother. "I couldn't keep smiling, Mommy. It hurt after a while, but now I can smile forever." Jeff noticed his eyes ringed in black. "Jeff, your eyes!" His eyes were seemingly never closing. "I couldn't see my face. I got tired and my eyes started to close. I burnt out the eyelids so I could forever see myself, my new face." Jeff's mother slowly backed away, seeing that her son was going insane. "What's wrong, Mommy? Aren't I beautiful?" "Yes, son," she said nervously. "Yes, you are. Let me go get Daddy so we can see how beautiful your face is." She ran into the room and shook Jeff's dad from his sleep. "Honey, get the gun. She stopped as she saw Jeff in the doorway holding a knife. "Mommy, you lied to me." That's the last thing they hear as Jeff rushes them with the knife, gutting them both. His brother Lou woke up, startled by some noise. He didn't hear anything else, so he just shut his eyes and tried to get back to sleep. And he was on the border of slumber when he got the strangest feeling that someone was watching him. He looked up before Jeff's hands covered his mouth. He slowly raised the knife, ready to plunge it into Lou. Lou thrashed here and there, trying to escape Jeff's grip. "Shh,"